So welcome, everybody. Anybody here for the first time? You are?
Yes,
You are? Okay, great. And you
yes.
online? Great. Hello.
All right.
Um, so we will be practicing meditation, and then we'll have a Dharma discussion, and then a time for question and answers. And you can, for those that are here in person, then you're welcome to stay longer and have some tea or cookies. Um, we'll be practicing mindfulness meditation. Anybody new to that practice? Okay, everybody's practiced mindfulness. Okay, as I have been teaching for the last few weeks, I'm um, inviting people to implement and use the noting technique in their practice. And I've been telling, I think a lot of people haven't been here for me teaching this, so I will share it again. Um, that I was teaching a retreat with a co-teacher, Shyla Catherine. And during that retreat, she said, they're not noting. So every time I offer this noting technique, I give it as an option. And that's not how I was taught. I was taught to do it. You just do it. And I give it as an option because I hear that people practice differently, whatever. And she said, they're not doing it. And that people actually progress in their practice more if they use this noting technique. And so I said, okay, well, I'll stop giving it as an option then. So implementing this technique is really helpful for our minds that are busy, because we work and we have families and we, drive through traffic and we do all of those things. We sit down on the cushion and our minds are filled with thoughts. And one way to help settle the mind is by using thought, really, a labeling technique to note your experience. When we're mindful, what we're trying to do is bring attention close to changing present moment experience through the four foundations of mindfulness. I see you, Aaron, squeezing in that cookie. Look at him. Uh, I was right in front of me. Hi, Aaron. Good to see you. Um, so with busy minds, it's hard to keep the mind connected with the direct experience. So one way to help is by labeling your experience. So we take as a primary object the breath in mindfulness meditation. So if we're going to note the breath, then we just make a little label, inhaling as you breathe in, exhaling as you breathe out. Your attention is watching the experience of the breath wherever you feel touch. And you can tune into that when we practice. Maybe it's around the nostrils or in the upper lip here. It could be the chest heaving. It could be the rising and falling of your belly. It's wherever it's easiest for you to see it. That's where you bring your attention to. And we are trying to bring our attention close to that experience of the breath, but it's subtle and it's hard to see. So noting will help. The mind cannot be in two places at one time. So you can't be thinking thoughts and making that mental label at the same time. So if you do that, then you're cutting off the noise in the head by just making that little label. The mind wanders, then you make a note thinking and then gently come back, or maybe it's planning or remembering or daydreaming, whatever it is, just noting the experience, the reality that's happening for you as it is. Other sensations arise in your body and they take your attention, like itching or tingling, the legs fall asleep, whatever it is. Bring your attention right into that experience, watching the changing, tingling, noting, tingling, itching, pain, whatever it is, naming it, but watching the experience. So in Burma, they'll say to note it, like let the label be like 1% of the awareness, just kind of a pointer. When emotions arise, then you name what the emotion is. Mind state, tired, sad, angry, annoyed, happy, calm, naming. When you name a mind state or are aware, try to be mindful of a mind state, you want to examine the body's experience. So if you're tired, for example, noting tired, and then where do you feel your body? Heaviness, and then stay with that feeling of heaviness, noting heavy, heavy, heavy. You might feel tightness with some emotions that we have, or you might feel tingling or openness, lightness, heaviness, whatever. Sounds arise. When sounds arise, just noting hearing. So it's always using the gerund of the action, right? The Because we're watching activity and change. So try it. So let's start. Go ahead and set up your posture, make it comfortable for you. Come on in, find a space. Yeah, yeah. There's chairs. I don't think so. I think we're going to keep them like this. Yeah. It's better for online for them to see. Yeah. Yeah. So set up a comfortable posture for yourself. One that you can sustain and not move in. You feel the activity of your body from the busyness of your day, from your work, from your relationships, from the doing in your life. And take any kind of breath that would help you to release any gripping or holding tension in your body. Giving attention to your body and noticing where you feel tightness or holding. Allow yourself to relax in your temples, your head, your throat. Check in with how you feel tonight, noticing you're tired, worried, restless, anxious, annoyed, calm, happy. Naming how you feel and then observing where you feel that in your body. And as we become aware of our thoughts, our emotions, our mind states, we're not trying to change or control or manipulate anything. Just allow whatever you're experiencing to be as it is. Letting your body feel what it feels. Letting your heart feel what it feels. And then let your breath be natural. Notice where you feel the touch of the breath, the movement. Resting your attention here. And when breathing in, know you're breathing in. When breathing out, know you're breathing out. Noting, inhaling. As you breathe in, exhaling. As you breathe out. And you feel the buzz in your body from living an urban lifestyle. And feel kind of fluttering and activity in your body. Let the inhale and exhale calm the activity in the body. Breathing in, calming the activity in your body. Breathing out, calming the activity in your body. Never condemning yourself when you see the mind wandering. Simply note thinking. Observing the mind's tendency to wander without judgment. And then gently come back to the breath. Inhaling, exhaling. Allow yourself to let go of your work, the busyness of your life, plans, the future. Allow yourself to relax into just this moment and just this breath. The sound of the traffic takes your attention. It's okay. That can become the object of awareness, bringing your attention to the inner ear, observing the process of hearing. Watching a sound as it arises, all the way till it passes away. I invite you to do a little investigation in your practice, looking for the truth of dukkha. Can you verify it in your experience? Stress, suffering. Inclining the heart to meet any suffering with acceptance, without shaming, without judging. And with the understanding of your humanity and the universality of this experience. Investigate to see if you can see any clinging in the heart. Not telling yourself not to cling, but just feel the experience of clinging. And you experience the end of clinging, freedom from clinging. I'll ring the bell for the end of the meditation. When I do, observe the sound of the bell until you don't hear it anymore. Okay, welcome everybody again. Thank you for your practice. I want to check in to see how that was working with a noting technique. If you did, have you before? Was anyone able to? Yes, Josh, you were. Any thoughts to share on that, Josh? Josh is the one.
Hi. It seems like there are a lot of that it helps with noticing like the macro movements of attention and sort of stabilizing the concentration. But I feel like there's also like a lot of micro movements of attention that are kind of
Right,
missed.
which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have a daily meditation practice? Yes, you do. Okay. Do you understand what mindfulness is? It's hard to understand what it is. And that's why we have to practice clearly. The mind is either aware or it's not. It's wonderfully simple that way. We're aware what's happening in the foundations of mindfulness, or we're not. So when we hear the bell and awareness is connected with that sound, then we're aware of the present moment and what's happening. If we have a feeling in our body and we know we have a feeling in the body, say there's pain in your knee, and you know there's pain in the knee, but you're also knowing awareness with that quality of the pain, then you're aware. If you're angry and you know you're angry, then you're aware. And you feel what the anger feels like in your body, then you're aware. If you're thinking and you know you're thinking, then you're aware. Hearing and you know you're hearing, sitting and you know you're sitting, then you're aware. So mindfulness is different than other meditations and it's more complicated. So it can be hard to know if we're really practicing or not. But if we keep it really simple and we use the noting technique, it will become more and more clear to us. We talked a couple weeks ago when I was here about all of the qualities that are present with a moment of mindfulness, the cetasikas, mind states. There's all this wholesomeness that comes with a moment of awareness. So when we practice awareness, we're actually practicing a whole bunch of other things, 37 other things. A loba, a dosa, a moha, non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion, and a moment of mindfulness. And all we are ever doing in our life is creating moments at a time, putting in a cause, a moment at a time. What appears in our life comes from our intention. Mind is the forerunner of all things. Mind is chief. They are all mind made, it says in the Dhammapada. If you think, speak, or act from a wholesome mind, happiness follows like the shadow that never leaves. So when we're mindful, we're aware in the present moment of what are the seeds we are planting here and now. And this is the law of karma that we know is associated with Buddhism, that is observable, but it really is cause and effect. And the law of karma becomes so understandable through Vipassana meditation that you know it to be true all the time in every single moment. So when are we putting in causes? Present moment, which is why mindfulness is so emphasized within the Buddhist teaching. This is, if we don't know, if we aren't aware, then we aren't aware of the seed we're planting in the present moment. So the Buddha named what right effort was in the practice, wise effort, is to cultivate wholesome, helpful, skillful states of mind and to abandon unwholesome, unskillful states of mind. So for you, just honestly, within your own being, no right or wrong answers. If you hear the word wholesome states of mind, what comes to your mind? Oh, go ahead. Acceptance, okay. Kindness, yeah. Joy, yeah. Love, great. All these
Positivity.
purity, yeah. Positivity, Marley said. Compassion, good. So we know what these are. We have all of them. And whatever we frequently think about or ponder upon will become the inclination of our mind. A mind unwatched, though, goes to negative places. I've been talking about how psychologists say that 80% of the time. So if we unwatch our mind, then it tends to go to unwholesome places. So just honestly and within yourself, when you hear that, what do you think of when you think of an unwholesome mind state? Clinging, great. Yeah. Stress, good. Fear, great. Suffering, yeah. Self-condemnation, yeah. Or self-hatred, all of those. Attachment, good. Rage, shame, fear. Oh, look, we know all of them, don't we? Anybody never experienced those states? So that's what it means when we're born a human. But we can cultivate it. And whatever we frequently think about and ponder upon will become the inclination of our mind. So as we practice meditation, we're practicing a mastery of our own mind so that we're not subject to all of that negativity. In as much as we cultivate wisdom, compassion, kindness, forgiveness, non-judgment, care, it will grow in us. And as much as we don't, it doesn't. It's like the muscles of our body. So that's what that's what we're called upon in this existence and in this world. It's a spiritual battle, was how my teacher always said it. Do you guys like that as an analogy? I didn't either when I was younger. Love it now. Love it because it resonates as absolutely true. But I didn't like it because I thought of battle as war and war fought from hatred. But if you think of battle as in using the weapons of love, of kindness, of compassion, of mindfulness, of light to overcome the darkness, it is what we're here doing. It is or we can be subjected to it. So that's what happens. And in a moment you practice mindfulness, there is a little mini battle that you win because you're not giving in to the tendency to move, into the tendency to go down a story of worry, into the tendency to go down the rabbit hole of self-hatred, into the tendency to imagine all the worst case scenarios that could happen in your life. Each moment that you practice mindfulness, you're not doing that. So it's a strength, it's a bala, call it one of the pancha balas, 5 powers. And your mind gets stronger and stronger the more you do it. The other 37 wholesome mind states that we practice are this mental flexibility or lightness. I think I talked about it last time I was here. Lahuta is the name in Pali. We don't have a good English word, but lahuta is kind of sounds exactly like it is. It's a mind that can adapt to the reality of life as it is, and a mind that can adapt to the reality without becoming rigid. As we get older, if we get stuck in views, stuck in our points of reference, this person, then rigidity can grow in our hearts and in our mind and in our tendencies, a calcification of our neural pathways. But with mindfulness, it softens all of that. We go against the stream, and it's liberating, wonderfully liberating, turning the light on, really, and seeing reality. And reality likes it when it's seen for some reason. Your thoughts, when they know, when they're acknowledged, your emotions, when they're acknowledged, there's a healing that happens. The pains, the experiences of your body, the tension that you're carrying, when you acknowledge it, when you listen and acknowledge and see, there's a healing. There's a writing that happens somehow, which is wonderful. And I've been really pondering how, because this law of the universe is based on if we cultivate wholesome things, then happiness follows. Uh, that means that we live in a good universe. That gets lost sometimes. We don't see it because we see so much bad, right? So much evil, even in the world, when we see people killing or, the terrible suffering that other beings will impose on other beings in the world. But the laws of the universe are good. And that can really uplift our minds that there's a goodness in the universe. I don't know who operates it. I don't know how it does, but I do know that I've seen that law happen again and again. It's observable. The Buddha never said to believe anything. He said, watch and see, come and see, ei pasiko, come and see for yourself. He didn't want people to just believe what he said, but like really see it. Because when you yourself really see that law, your behavior in the world really changes. When you really know that every single one of your thoughts, every single one of your words, and every single one of your actions are going to have an effect on you, you're careful in the world. You're much more careful. You want to do good, you know. You want to give to others, you want to help others because it'll benefit you. Buddha said that's okay, that you care about yourself that much, that you want to give yourself benefits. So the whole essence of Buddhist practice is seeing reality as it is. There's no belief systems, and it's based on three things: dana, sīla, and bhavana, which means to help others, to not harm others, and to train the mind, cultivate the mind, bhavana, meditation. So I always teach from where I'm practicing. And something that I've been focusing a lot on in my personal practice is the refinement of the not harming others. Sīla, it's called, translated as virtue or ethics, morality. Ahimsa is also a word in Pali, that not harming others. The Buddha talked about it all the time, and in monasteries and in the East, um, most lay people that practice, that's all they practice, is the not harming of others and practicing dana. Not a lot of, even the monks, only like 1% of the monks in Burma practice meditation. So our doorway in is meditation, but their doorway in is being good people and practicing and working on that. We were talking about this at the benefit dinner we had last week or a couple weeks ago now, maybe. Dan Harris was there. Maybe some of you guys were there for that. We were talking about this practice of sīla and how it's not the thing that really people leap to want to practice for some reason. And I was one of those people, so I really understand that. But if we were, and we're going to, at Insight LA, we're going to study it. Meditation has been studied. Mindfulness has been studied. Scientists are finding what meditators have always known. It works. It's helpful, right? It decreases stress. It changes your brain. It does all these wonderful things. Metta meditation, the meditation does this. It works. If they were to study, they have mindfulness-based stress reduction. If they were to study sīla, there would be sīla-based stress reduction. And that is the reason the Buddha said he taught one thing and one thing only: stress and the end of stress. So I grew up Catholic, and I love the Catholic faith and tradition still. I have a fondness for it still. I didn't have a bad Catholic upbringing, but we had ethical guidelines, the commandments, and they were given in a way that was very different than how it is within Buddhist practice. Eternal damnation if you don't, you know, blah, 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 blah. Forever going to hell if you could confess. In Buddhist practice, and because of the law of cause and effect, a confession is wonderful. It can be liberating for your mind, but it can't change the consequences of your actions. You are going to have the consequence and suffer the consequences of your actions. Suffer or benefit from the consequences of your actions, I should say, not only suffer. So the commandments were kind of heavy-handed, and but the ones that Jesus talked about were very much the same guidelines. The one he most talked about were the same guidelines that the Buddha really talked about. And humans, you'll look around, you'll see they need these guidelines. Humans need these guidelines because if they aren't given a basic sense of a moral compass, then they tend to do things that are mean to each other. Yeah. So the guidelines are: don't kill, don't steal, don't be harmful with your sexual energy. In Buddhism, there's a lot more liberalness in that. Within my Christian faith, you're not allowed to get divorced. You can get divorced if you're a Buddhist. You can change. They don't say anything about homosexual relationships or anything like that when they talk about harm within sexuality. It has to do with forcing people. It has to do with uh, people that are in promised relationships, things like that. What they call an objective reality, an observable harm, based on harm, not made up laws, but based on observable harm that you can see. This is the harm practice within Buddhism. And I've come to see that the whole practice is refining non-harming on more and more and more subtle ways through our actions, for sure. So when we talk about those precepts and keeping them and practicing with them, we're talking about grosser actions. And then we talk about our speech, where the Buddha said to refrain from lying, to refrain from harsh speech, to refrain from divisive speech, and to refrain from gossip. That's where we'll practice a lot, right? Nobody's perfect in that. And you don't have to be perfect. It is a practice. But what the Buddha said happens, and the gift that you will get when you practice these things is the freedom from remorse. One of the things that's talked about as a benefit most often. And that never sounded like a big deal to me when I was younger, until I've really studied the mind and realized so many times when I'm feeling anxious or unsure of myself, self-doubt, self-hatred, it's actually from remorse, not being happy with the way I handled a situation, not being happy with a strong reaction from hurting another person. That seeps into our consciousness in ways that is so hard to see. And then exactly the opposite, when we feel certain and sure about the way we've been treating people, there's a bliss and a joy that comes, and a confidence and a sureness that is so beautiful. And they're related. So we all have goodness and we all are ethical people in some way. Often when we're talking about and keeping and thinking about this non-harming, this virtue practice, we're celebrating the fact that we actually do it. And that's just as important too, to celebrate our own goodness. I'm not saying that as like somebody that's trying to make you, I'm not trying to sell something when I'm saying that. I'm saying it because it's actually very, very true that honoring that in yourself will have a really good benefit on your psyche, will decrease your stress. The benefits of the Buddha lists in there is like you can walk into any room and feel confident in yourself when you're really clear that your thoughts, words, and actions are aligned with goodness and not hurting other people. So virtue ethics is one of the paramis. Have you guys heard of the paramis? The perfections in the Buddhist practice? They're just qualities, human qualities of the heart, which the Buddha was said to have taken lifetimes to develop. There's metta, there's mindfulness, there's generosity, energy, renunciation. And virtue is one of them. Ethics is one of them. So I've been thinking about it for myself, of like really taking it as like a real focus to perfect it, to perfect virtue. And it's been making me so happy that I want you guys to experience that too. I mean, it just makes me so happy. I walk into places, I'm in Whole Foods, and I just say, okay, I'm not going to hurt you. 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 Just little intentions, shifts. Play pickleball. Sometimes when I play pickleball, a little competition gets in there. And it's not that I want to hurt somebody, but I lose sight of people's humanity sometimes, you know. Oh, just I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you. And been becoming more and more sensitive, and it will happen, and it does happen to all of us, of little ways. When I hurt somebody, it really affects me, my nervous system. I can feel this destabilization that happens compared to when you really know and are really confident that you're not hurting people. So it takes intentionality. It's not something you can kind of hear on a Wednesday night and go, okay, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then go out. You'll forget. It won't be there. Not without intentionality. So all of the practice, whatever parami, I mean, you should practice the one that you really want to. Maybe it's compassion, maybe it's forgiveness, whatever. But what I've always loved about the Buddhist teachings and practice is that there's something to do. There's practices to do. And I've always taken them. So with intentionality, what I do in my daily practice is set the intention. There's the taking of the 5 precepts of I undertake the precept to refrain from killing. Does anybody here practice with that daily? You do. Jasmine, good. Okay. I undertake the precept to refrain from lying. Intentionality around it's really helpful. You can work with one of them, like I'm just going to try not to gossip, or I'm going to try not to drink. I'm going to refrain from intoxicating myself for a while, which the Buddha gave, not because he didn't want you to have fun, but because those other precepts tend to go out the window with intoxication. I've been watching, but I'm giving it up. I'm quitting it. True crime series. I've been watching too much. It's gone too far. But if you watch how people kill, most of the time they're intoxicated or have affairs or the fights people can get into, the harm. So that's the reason why. And then on the little minor levels, the Buddha was teaching not to cover over your feelings, not to suppress your emotions, not to suppress your judgment, but to sharpen it actually, and to actually go through those feelings because they're healable. They don't go away if we cover them over. We all know that, right? So whatever inspires you, but this intentionality around non-harming brings a kind of beautiful piti, joy, pleasure, happiness inside you. It's cause and effect. And yeah, that's why he taught it. Not because there's an authority over you looking at you and judging you, but because it makes you happy. It's what the universe is asking for us. It's why the universe is a good universe. So that's my share for tonight. We can open up for questions or thoughts, inspirations.